Good day, traders. Welcome to part 2 of Elliott wave theory course. As we have discussed in part 1, I said part 2, we are going to deal with the impulsive part of, of 5-wave structure. All right, the impulsive part of it, and I said we'll take it bit by bit. The part 1 was based on just the introduction. Introduced the Elliott wave theory. Who is Elliott wave? Who established Elliott wave theory? Nathaniel Elliott. At what time? 1930s. Using stock market data, we discussed all this and the fractal nature of the market. And we said that Elliott wave theory established rules and guidelines that govern the appearance of impulse correction in the market, in the financial market. So after all said and done in part 1, which is basically introductory in nature, we want to do a bit more on the impulsive phase of the market. All right, market has 2 phases. You have the impulsive phase, which is called the impulse, and the corrective phase. Now we want to try to understand the impulsive phase in this video. So, and that impulsive phase is what is called the motif waves. All right, motif wave. In part 1, we talk of the motif waves and the corrective waves. Those are the 2 types of waves. Now today, we want to discuss on motif waves. All right, so what are motif waves? Motif waves are waves that proceed in the direction of the main trend. All right, waves that proceed in the direction of the main trend. For instance, in wave 5 in an uptrend, wave 1, wave 3, all these are motif waves, okay, because they proceed in the same direction. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you have a move, this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay. We discussed this in the part 1 of the lecture, that this one here, and this wave here. This is wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 up, wave 4, and wave 5. All right. You see this one, wave 1 here, wave 3 here, wave 5 here. You can see all of them going in the direction of what? Of the main trend. All right, the impulses. All right, so we discussed that in part 1, and you are hearing that right now. So what are the 2 types of motif waves? There are 2 types of motif waves that we have in the market. Number 1, you have what is called an impulse, and number 2, we have what is called a diagonal. We have an impulse and we have a diagonal. What you see here with 1, with 2, with 3, with 4, with 5, all these lengths of this wave right here, from here to here, you can see it's made up of 5-wave structure. This is what is called an impulse. This is what is called an impulse, and is one type of motif waves. What of the other types of motif waves? The other type of motif wave is called a diagonal. You can also see that a diagonal is proceeding to the upside, but it has only one difference between impulse, all right, which I will show you right here. See this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See diagonal. See this one this way. All right. If you label it properly, see this is wave 1, this is wave 2, this is wave 3, this is wave 4, this is wave 5. As we are going to see later, in the rules that govern the formation of an impulse, you will see that in wave 4 here, you see wave 4 ends here. This wave 4 in an impulse must not come to the territory of wave 1. Look at where wave 1 ends. It must not come like this. It's not allowed. It must stay like this. All right. When it stays like this, it becomes an impulse. But in a situation where wave 4 does not comes to the territory, where wave 4 comes to the territory of wave 1, as you have in a diagonal here, it becomes a diagonal. Do you understand? So that is the only difference between an impulse and a diagonal. That's the difference between an impulse and a diagonal. In an impulse, which is one type of a motif wave, wave 4 does not come to the territory of wave 1. Look at it here. Let me use an arrow to demarcate it. And let me use an arrow to demarcate it here. Can you see? Can you see? Here, wave 4, this one does not touch this line. Okay? In an impulse. But in a diagonal, this wave 4 here will have to cross here to form what you call a rising channel. We don't call it a rising channel here. It's a diagonal. All right? And it is an example of a motif wave. We'll be seeing all this in practical application, how you appropriately apply them in your chart. So impulse is a 5-wave structure. All right? Impulse is a 5-wave structure. And we label it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Can you see? It's a 5-wave structure. Look at an impulse, 5-wave structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Can you see? The 5-wave structure that is labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So after every impulse, there is a correction. Do you hear that? After every impulse, there is a correction. So this is a 5-wave structure to the upside. You are going to see a correction in 3 waves this way. Okay, you are going to see this correction in 3 waves this way. Simple. Let's shift this one right here real quick. Let's shift this one out real quick. All right. Can you see? You are going to see this correction in 3 waves, and this correction will be labeled A, B, and C. Do you understand now? So that's how it is. After every impulse, you must see a correction. Now, let us look at the characteristic of each of the wave in an impulse. Of course, you know, in an impulse, you have 5 waves structure. An impulse is made up of 5-wave structure: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. We want to look at the characteristics of wave 1 to 5 in the impulse and the rules that govern their formations. Okay. So wave 1 is a strong move that signals the start of the impulse. Okay. Assuming that you have a wave that is coming down, you have a downtrend that is coming this way, all right, this way, and this way. This is a downtrend, all right? And you now have a strong pulse that break this structure. Because you know, if this downtrend is to continue, then this wave here should end here. It should be like this. Then you know that this one will come to make a lower low. But in the situation where this push here break this structure here, all right, and this one now comes here, you know that this downtrend is over. Why? There is already a break of structure here. Boom. Can you see? There's a break of structure here. So that is why I said wave 1 will always signal the start of a new wave and the end of what? And the end of the previous trend. If you were in a downtrend before, you have the first push to the upside, and this is wave 1. All right, that's the first push to the upside. Okay, so wave 1 is the wave that breaks structure, the one that breaks structural resistance of the previous downtrend. We're using the example of downtrend and uptrend right now. Real quick, check. Can you see that this is a downtrend making a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, but it's not making a lower high right here. It broke the structure and formed a higher high. This is a high, this is a higher high. That is the definition of an uptrend. So the first wave 1, is the one that breaks the previous structural resistance. All right. So with this break of structure, we know downtrend is over, and we are looking forward to what? To see the next impulse. All right. After this structure is broken, We know that this downtrend is over. We're only looking for a pullback in the formation of wave 2 right here. Let me show you really quick. This wave 2 here. We want to see this wave 2 here. All right. So that is the characteristic of wave 1, basically. Okay. And another thing you should know about wave 1 is that wave 1 is usually very sharp. Okay. Wave 1 is usually very, very sharp. You know, very quick, very sharp, you know, to the upside. You understand? So now let's go to wave 2 generally. All right. So wave 2 is a correction of wave 1. When I say a correction, some people will say a pullback. No problem. You can say a pullback. Okay. You see, wave 1 has made a strong move. It's not going to continue. Excuse me. It's not going to continue to the upside. It's going to make a pullback down. All right. So this correction, this pullback is the wave 2. Are you okay now? It's the wave 2. But now, wave 2 can retrace to any field level, such as 38%, 50%, 61.8%, or even 78% retracement. It can retrace to any level of retracement. You grab your fib tools here, look at it here, fib retracement. If you put it at the beginning of wave 1, drop it at the end of wave 1, you want to see the levels of retracement. We are saying that by Elliott wave 2 can end here, 38%. It can, that's a shallow retracement. It can end at 50%, all right, which is very ideal. It can end at 61.8%, and it can even end at 79%, 78% here, all right? It can end here, depending on the nature of the correction, okay? Depending on the nature of the pullback here, it can end here. Do you understand? But the only rule that is very, very important that you must note is that in as much as wave 2 can retrace to any depth or any field level, we must understand that the rule of wave 2 is that it cannot retrace to the start of wave 1. All right. Can you see? Wave 2 cannot break the start of wave 1. All right. That is why at any point you are catching wave 2 here, in as much as you are correct, in as much as you have correctly predicted the end of wave 2, once you put your stop loss below the impulse of wave 1, by guideline, it's not expected to come here. All right. So wave 2 can end at any fib levels here, but by rules, governing information is not allowed for it to come below the beginning of wave 1. All right. So we understand wave 2 now. All right. So since we have agreed that wave 2 is a pullback or a correction, then you should know that then what is the form of or pattern the correction should take. All right. So we have agreed that let me take up this field real quick. All right. So we have agreed that wave 2 is a corrective structure. So if this wave 2 is a correction, which is very, very slow, for instance, what we have discussed before is example is this one. All right. Can you see? Can you see? After this one was forming this way, this one came and broke this level. So this one becomes wave 1. All right. So this correction that is happening here will now become wave 2. All right. So you can see that wave 1 is very sharp, but wave 2 is very sluggish. Can you see? It's very sluggish. So the question we are asking here is that what is the pattern that this wave 2 can form? So the answer is that this wave 2, you know, can form different pattern, different corrective pattern. It can form a triangle. You know, a triangle is something like this. We are still going to deal with it after an impulse. You have triangle like this, this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a triangle, guys. If you draw it this way, you can see, and then you have the boom to the upside. Okay, it can also be a form of flat. After you see a move here, see 1, 2, and 3, you see the move to the upside. This is in form of a flat corrective structure, guys. Form of flat corrective structure. Okay. Wave 2 can also be in form of zigzag, where you have impulse, you have 1, you have 2, you have 3. It's also a regular flat, and then after that you have a move to the upside. Can you see? So these are corrective structure. These are 3 different corrective structure. You see this, you see this, and you see this. See this in the middle? So these are the 3 corrective structure that we have. All the 3, any of the 3 corrective structure can fit in for wave 2. All right. If it is, you know, this flat corrective structure here that fits in to wave 2 here, then it's most likely that you are not going to get more than 50% retracement, highest 61.8. But if it is this zigzag that come, can you see it's not a sideways corrective structure? It's a sharp corrective structure to the downside. If it's zigzag that come to wave 2 here, the possibility of you to get 78% retracement is there, because it's not a sideways corrective structure. It is a sharp down corrective structure. Then if it is this triangle, all right, that comes to wave 2, then you may not get more than 38 to 50% retracement. So that is the kind of corrective structure that you can find in wave 2. All right. So now, what other confirmation will you see before buying at the end of wave 2? So what you are learning here is Elliott wave theory. It's not just the theory that I've promised to teach you here, guys. I've also promised you that I'm going to teach you what you need to see in order to profit from the market. It's not just learning the theory. You learn the theory and you learn some other confirmations with it. So what can you see in order to buy the market? So if you are seeing a zigzag in wave 2, all right, let me show you. Let me show you really quick, guys. Just watch. If you are seeing this wave 1, wave 2, if you are seeing a zigzag here, then for you to buy, all right, you will see that in most cases, you first see some consolidation. So if you see consolidation here and you see a liquidity grab that you know, that make this length of the wave to be equal to the other end, equal length of this wave, this one is now equal to this wave. All right, if you see it like this, at the liquidity grab here, okay, where it's about 78% retracement, look for a psychological or sub-psychological level like 0.81550, as we have seen here, right here, right here. Yes, from here you can look for a buy opportunity to the upside. Can you see? So you can see it's not just looking at zigzag alone. You are looking at consolidation level. You are looking at liquidity grab to demand, and you are looking for buy opportunity. Can you see? So you are not only looking for this corrective structure right now. Right now, you are looking for confirmation that will give you a buy opportunity. Okay. So another thing that you should check is if the corrective structure here is not a zigzag. What of if it's a what of if this wave 2 is a flat? How are you going to approach the trading? For instance, you have let's say you have an impulse here with 1, then with 2 comes in forms of flat corrective structure here. How are you going to know that you are ready to buy to the upside? Guys, you are going to see what is called engulfing candlestick pattern here, right here. Read good, guys. This is the candle here. You are going to see another bullish candle here that totally engulf this one to the upside. Okay. When you see this, guys, when you see this, it's a confirmation, guys, that the bullish momentum has come, and this will be the end of the corrective structure. This will be the end of the corrective structure, and you are going to catch this move to the upside. All right, that is the confirmation you need to bring to bear when wave 2 appears in the form of flat. What if it comes in form of triangle? If it comes in form of triangle, guys, this is what you are going to see in the chart. You are going to see an impulse. Already, you know, this is a triangle, 1, A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, all right. So this is a triangle, guys. It's a triangle. It's a triangle. If you see this, what you are going to see already, you need this move to the upside, but what you are going to see is a possibility of this last with A with E. This is with A here. This is with B here. This is with C here. This is with D here, and this is with E here. All right. So what you are going to see is that this last with E is going to come to break this level. Break this level. That does not invalidate this structure as a triangle. Already you know that with E, with E can overshoot. When we get to triangle properly, you understand what this overshoot means. It can come, come drag liquidity and supply right here, liquid, guys, and then make it move to the upside. So you can see what I was telling you, that you can understand the theory, but if you don't understand some intricacies on how you apply the theory, you might not be able to profit from the market. These are some of the things that most Elliott wave analysts don't take cognizance of. All right. So that is how we approach trading of wave 2. Now let's move to what? To wave 3. All right. So wave 3 is the continuation move after the completion of wave 2. I told you how you will catch, how you recognize the end of wave 2 in a triangle. If wave 2 appear in form of zigzag, how are you going to recognize it? If wave 2 end in form of this flat here, this zigzag here, how are you going to recognize it? Here, liquidity pool. When you grab liquidity at demand in case of uptrend, you recognize it. Here, if you have engulfing, or I forgot, when you have railroad track or engulfing, these are the two candlestick patterns you use to identify the end of corrective structure in case of a flat correction. Because in the case of flat correction, there is no motivation for the market to come down because it's a sideways corrective structure. So the only thing that you can use to decode the end of this flat corrective structure is formation of this candlestick pattern. All right, railroad track and engulfing. In the case of triangle, all right, what normally happens is that if this market want to grab liquidity here to mark the end of wave 2 and the beginning of wave 3, it normally come by wave 2, overshooting, wave E rather. This is A, B, C, D, E, wave E, overshooting. So if you have understood this trick and you have taken your trade based on these confirmations, if you have taken your trade, it means that you are already on your way to trading wave 3 of the impulse. All right. So it is usually the longest wave, but whenever it's not the longest, it is not also the shortest. All right. So this wave 3 is usually the longest wave in the impulse. All right. For instance, look at it. Look at it. I showed you before. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, this is impulse. This is wave. Among these 3 waves here, let me show you very quick. This one, and this one. These are the waves that are proceeding in the direction of the trend. Can you see? The trend is up. These are the waves. And in the case of downtrend, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Can you see? These are the waves that are proceeding in the direction of the trend. This one, and this one. All right. So among these 1, 2, and 1, 3, and 5, usually it is wave 3 that is the longest. But in a situation where wave 3 is not the longest, wave 3 can never be the shortest. Okay, you must have this understanding. In a situation where wave 3 is not the longest, if wave 1 is the longest, then wave 5 will be the shortest. Wave 3 cannot be the shortest. In a situation where wave 5 is the longest, then wave 3 cannot be the shortest. It must be wave 1 that will be the shortest. Do you understand now? So that is one thing you should understand about wave 3. So wave 3 will normally terminate at 161.8 fib extension of wave 1 to 2. All right. If you look at fib extension, for those that do not understand what fib extension is all about, when you come to your fib here, there's a small arrow beside it, drop down, just take trend base fib extension, come to here, drop it at wave 1, take it to wave, the end of wave 1, take it back to wave 2. All right, take it back to wave 2. You see that wave 3 will normally end at what? At where? 161.8% of wave 1, wave 1 to 2. All right, from wave 1 to 2. This will be the projected target of wave 3. Can you see? It's a very long one. All right, so that is the idea. So if it doesn't end at exactly 1.618, between 1% to 1.618, with 3 we end, except it is extended. So you should also note that with 3 can be extended. It can be extended. So in that case, it's going to be unnecessarily too long. Too long. Most time it will be double the size of wave 1 or double the size of wave 5. All right. So that is how wave 3 behave. So it is usually very profitable to catch wave 3 at the beginning of the trend. If you are able to recognize that this wave 1 has broken structure and a new trend is in the making, and you have recognized wave 2, that wave 2 has ended using all this confirmation I have taught you here, then if you are able to catch wave 3, guys, it's usually very profitable. You just keep riding it. You keep riding it, keep riding it, keep riding it until you ride it to the upside. Okay, so that is all you need to know about wave 3, guys. So I want us to go to wave 5 real quick, wave 4 rather. So let's move to wave 4. Wave 4. Okay, so wave 4 is a correction of wave 3 within the impulse. So within the impulsive move, let's draw it again, guys. Let's draw it again. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. This is an impulse, guys. Let's label it. You come here, this is a labeling tool. You have Elliott impulse wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Click it here, put it here, 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and to 5. This is a 5-wave structure, okay, based on Elliott wave. So now, where is the wave 4 here? We want to discuss the characteristic. Look at it here, guys. Let me show you real quick. Look at it here. This is wave 4, because this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So we are saying that wave 4 is a correction. Why do we say wave 4 is a correction? We have discussed correction before in an introductory Elliott wave class, that corrections is a wave that opposes the direction of the major trend. Where is the major trend, guys? Where are the waves that shows the major trend? Wave 1, wave 3, wave 5. Where is the direction of wave 1, 3, and 5? Upside. Okay. Where's the direction of wave 2? Downside. Where's the direction of wave 4? Downside. So all these waves that are kicking against the direction of the major move are called correction. Okay. They are called what? Correction. So remember that wave 2 correct with 1. Okay. And move. All right. And then move to form wave 3. Wave 2 correct with 1 and break up to form wave 3. And then again, wave 4 also correct with 3, and the break up will now form wave 5. It's simple, guys. This wave here is correcting this one. As this one move, it has to rest. The resting period creates this corrective structure that break up to form wave 5. Do you understand? So now, listen to this rule. So wave 4 usually retraces to about 38% to 50% of wave 3. You have to listen to the rules now. Look at wave 3 here. If you take a fib, this time around, it's not fib extension we want to use. We want to use fib retracement, guys. So if you drop it from the beginning of wave 3, take it to the end of wave 3, look at where 38 to 50% gets to, guy. Look at it here, 38% to 50% here. This is where we are expecting wave 4 to end. So somebody will ask me, why should we expect wave 4 to end at 38 to 50% field retracement. And in the case of wave 2, we were saying that wave 2 will even extend up to 78%. Somebody will ask me, why is it so? Because the rule of an impulse says that wave 4 cannot come to the territory of wave 1. Look at the territory of wave 1, guys. Let me clean this field. Let me clean this one off. Can you see? Look at wave 1, guys. Look at wave 1. You've heard me say this before. This is wave 4 cannot come to the territory of wave 1. So if we permit it to come to 61.8%, so the possibility of it crawling to the territory of wave 1 is there. So by rule, it must end at 38 to 50% retracement of wave what? Wave 3. Because if it crosses this, it's no longer an impulse, it's another structure, which you will know as we continue in the lesson. So a very important characteristic of wave 4 is that it must not come to the territory of wave 1. And by that reason, it should retrace for just 38 to 50% retracement of wave 3. All right. So a special rule that governs the formation of wave 4 within an impulse. Within an impulse is what I've told you, that it ends, the end of wave 4 must not come to the territory of wave 1. So the rule above is what distinguishes, all right, is what distinguishes between the two types of motif waves. All right. You've heard me said before that we have two types of motif waves. We have an impulse, which I've shown you here, and we have what is called a diagonal. A diagonal, which some of you call a rising wedge, is called a diagonal. You see 1, you see 2, you see 3, you see 4, you see 5. Can you see? This is a diagonal. This is a diagonal. All right. You see it here. See it here. And you see this one here. Real quick. This is a diagonal, guys. This is a diagonal. Why is it diagonal, guys? Look at it. Can you see that it's also proceeding to the upside? No, let's draw it properly. Let's draw it properly. I think I would like to draw it this up, down. Is 1, 2, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's draw it properly, guys. This is a serious class, guys. We have to draw it properly. This is a serious class, guys. All right. This is how to draw it. This is how to draw it, guys. Can you see it's pointing to the moon? I'm going to show you the difference between this one and a triangle. Triangle is also a 5-way structure, but can you see this one is pointing to the moon? This is wave 1, this is wave 2, this is wave 3, this is wave 4, and this is wave 5. Can you see? Do you see that a diagonal has a 5-wave structure and an impulse also have a 5-wave structure? Do you see? Both of them are what? Are motif waves. You know, we call them a motif wave because they can be found in wave 1, they can be found in wave 1, they can be found in wave 3, they can be found in wave 5. All right? Watch out something before I show you the difference. You see that this is wave 1, this is wave 2, this is wave 3, this is wave 4, this is wave 5. Okay? This entire structure here that is called an impulse, 5-wave structure, this one you see here. You can carry everything and come and put here. It can fit in here with 1. You can bring everything and come and put here. Can fit in here. That's wave 2. You can put everything and put it here. That's wave 3. Remember we said motif waves are waves that proceed in the direction of the trend. So, and we are saying that there are two types of motif wave, which is impulse, this is this one, and diagonal, this one. So this diagonal here can fit in here, and the impulse can also fit in here. And this diagonal and impulse can fit in 5. Only an impulse can fit in 3. It's very rare for you to see a diagonal in 3 because this diagonal tends to slow down. And of course, the characteristic of wave 3 is very fast. So you don't want to see a wave that is very slow. Even though it's a motif wave, you don't want to see a very slow wave in wave 3. So usually wave 3 is very sharp, and you see that an impulse, which is this one, is sharper than this, than this diagonal. All right. So there are two types of diagonal, guys. Remember, we are still discussing with 3. All right. So there are two types of diagonal, guys. We have what is called an ending diagonal, and we have what is called a leading diagonal. We have a leading diagonal, and an ending diagonal. You see this with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, like here, let me label it here real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Assuming you have this 5-wave structure, and you bring this one, this impulse, you bring it here to fit in here, This impulse in wave 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in wave 1, before you see this wave 2. Okay, not this impulse. Bring this diagonal here. Bring this diagonal here in 5-wave structure. Okay, so if you bring this diagonal here, it becomes a leading diagonal. Why? It's occurring in wave 1 of an impulse. Get me right, guys. This diagonal is appearing in wave 1 of an impulse. Therefore, it is a leading diagonal. But if this diagonal appears at wave 5 here, guys, wave 5, it is not appearing at the beginning, it's appearing at the end of the impulse. So it is called an ending diagonal, all right? And then one important thing you should understand about diagonal is that a diagonal, the end result of the 5-wave of a diagonal is a breakdown. So if this diagonal occurs in wave 1, it's going to break down in 3 waves to form wave 2. Do you understand? If this diagonal occurs in wave 5 of an impulse, it's going to break down to form ABC. It's going to break down to form ABC. Let me show you. All right. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this diagonal appearing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is a diagonal, guys. The diagonal appear here. Then you are going to see a breakdown to form with ABC here. All right. But if it is here that this diagonal happens, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If it's here that the diagonal appears, then the breakdown you are going to see here is with 2. Do you understand? Then this corrective structure here, guys, is A. You have A here, you have B here, you have C here, ABC. So this ABC is a corrective structure. So the entire length ABC is a corrective structure with A is an impulse, C is an impulse, only B is a correction. Do you understand? So what you see in wave 1 of an impulse, with wave 1 of an impulse, you can see it in wave A of this correction. What you see, anything you can see that can fit into wave 5 of an impulse here, which is the end of the impulse here, you can see it in wave C, in the end of correction. That means I told you before that a diagonal, if it appears in wave 1 of an impulse, is called a leading diagonal. And because wave A of a correction is also an impulse, when diagonal appear there, it's also called a leading diagonal. And then when it breaks up to the upside, it forms a correction that is 3-wave structure, that is wave B. All right. And then if this diagonal here is appearing at wave C of a correction, then it is an ending diagonal because this wave C is the end of this correction. So the father of wave C of a correction is wave 5 of an impulse. And the father of wave A of a correction is what? Is the wave 1 of an impulse. Anything you can see in wave 1, you can see in wave A. Anything you can see in wave 5, you can see it in wave C. All right. And then the father of wave B of a correction here is both wave 2 and wave 4. This is a correction. This is a correction. And this is a correction. So anything you can see in wave 2 and wave 4 that, you know, present corrective structure, you can also see in wave B of a correction. Do you understand now? So that is the difference between an impulse and a correction. So it's the same techniques. So in wave 4 now, what are the confirmations that you need to see in wave 4 before you take your trade? Let me draw the impulsive move real quick, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What are the confirmations, guys, that you see in wave 4? Remember, wave 4 is a corrective structure just like wave 2, and we have said that in the guideline, wave 4 usually terminate at between 0.38 to 0.5% retracement of wave 3, which I've showed you right here. Real quick, guys, let me show you real quick here. That's the end. Between here and here is the end of the termination point for wave 4. Then, what are the corrective structure that can be in wave 4, guys? What are the corrective structure? 3 types of corrective structure can be found in wave 4, guys. You can see triangle. You can see triangle. Triangle is like this. You have impulse like this. Triangle is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is a triangle. Okay. After this one will now proceed to the upside. You can see triangle here. And you can also see a zigzag there. You see, this is wave 3. This wave 4 will now be 1, 2, and 3, guys. Before wave 5 will form. You can see a zigzag. You can also see what is called a flat corrective structure. You see a push here. This is a flat here, and you see a move to the upside. The same confirmation rules that I have set for myself in trading wave 2 is the same thing that is applicable, guys, in trading wave 4, because both of them are corrective structure. Are we getting it now, guys? Okay. So now, if you look at it, what is the rule for trading a triangle? All right, this one that's supposed to terminate here, this wave E, this is wave A, wave B, wave C, wave D, and wave E. This wave E here can smash down, guys. It's allowed, smash down. That does not invalidate this structure as a triangle. It can shoot down, guys, and grab liquidity here, and then from it makes a move to the upside. If a triangle appears in wave 4, this is how you are going to trade it. If a zigzag appears in wave 4, guys, it is possible for if it consolidates before it gets to the entire length, it will grab liquidity at demand here and make a move to the upside. All right, it can also form a railroad track. It can form an engulfing at the end of the corrective structure here to make a move. But it's more in most cases too, if you have a flat that is formed there, you see the same confirmation. You may not see liquidity grab because there's no need, no motivation for it to go past this previous low. So what you just see, just break the previous low, form an engulfing candlestick here, and then move to the upside. For people that do not understand what is called engulfing candlesticks, I'm going to show you real quick, guys. I'm going to show you real quick. You have a candle here, guys, and then you have another one. This one is bearish, and then you have another bullish one form here. Can you see, guys? It's an engulfing candlestick pattern. This one, let's change the color to we're using red for down, red, guys. We're using green for upside. This one, green, guys. All right. So if you see this pattern here, right, it's an engulfing candlestick pattern. You know this corrective structure is over, and you take a buy to the upside. So it's the same techniques we use for wave 2 that we use for wave 4. So you look for liquidity grab in case of a zigzag, you know, and all those things. Right. So now let's look at wave 5, guys. Wave 5. Before we look at wave 5, I think it's very important we understand the concept of alternation here. Okay, there's what is called alternation, guys. Do you notice that I was pointing out the same corrective structure that can fit into wave 1, into wave 3, slip of tongue, into wave 4 and wave 5, wave 4 and wave 4, wave 2 and wave 4. Just pardon me, guys. You know, I'm just very motivated to take this course, to teach you this course, guy. So just pardon me. This wave 2, this wave 3, this is wave 4, this is wave 5. Okay, you see that these two guys are corrective structure. This one, corrective structure. Okay, so, and I have told you that triangle, flat, zigzag can fit in here. Triangle, flat, and zigzag can fit in here. But now there's what is called alternation. Alternation is a rule, okay, set out by Mr. Elliott. And his observation is that if you see a sharp corrective structure here, then you cannot see sharp corrective structure in wave 4. For instance, if at the end of wave 1, wave 2 is forming with a what? A sideways corrective structure. This is sideways corrective structure. Then triangle cannot form here because triangle is also a sideways corrective structure. So we know that a sharp corrective structure will form here. What are we saying? Sideways is followed, sideways correction in wave 2 is followed by sharp correction in wave 4. That's an alternation. It's alternating. Then, what of in a situation where you have a sharp correction in wave 2? What will happen in wave 4, guys? If you have sharp correction in wave 2, like you have zigzag this way in wave 2, you are not going to have a sharp correction in wave 4. The market is going to stay sideways. You may see triangle here forming in wave 4. How does this triangle form? You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you see that it refuses to gap down like this one? It refuses to gap down, it needs to come down like this one. That is a sideways corrective structure. That's what we see. This process is called alternation, and it happens between wave 2 and wave 4. You must understand it. These are part of the rules. When you are forecasting, you are looking at the pattern of the market. These are the things you look at in order to understand what you are saying. Now let's move to the characteristic of wave 5, guys. I hope we are getting it. We have studied characteristic of wave 1. We have said wave 1 is the one that breaks structure of the previous trend and is the one that signal the move in the market. We say wave 2. Wave 2 can retrace to fib level like 0.38, can retrace to 50%, can retrace to 61.8, guys. They can even retrace to 78%, guys. But the only thing is that the only question mark there, comma there, is that it must not come below the start of wave 1. All right. You heard me clearly, guys. You heard me clearly. Look at it. This retracement, guys, wave 2 here must not come below here. Okay. We also there with wave 3. Say wave 3 can end in the 1.618 extension of wave 1 to 2. All right. We say wave 3 is usually the longest, but when it's not the longest, it's not the shortest. We discuss all this one. Then wave 3 can be extended. Then we talk of wave 4, guys. That wave 4 also carry the same corrective structure that you can find in wave 2. You can see it in wave 4. All right. We also discussed the concept of alternation, that if you see a sharp corrective structure in wave 2, you see a sideways in wave 4. If you see a sideways corrective structure like flat, can you see it's sideways? It's not coming down too much. You cannot see it you see a sharp one in wave 4. This concept is called alternation. Now let's discuss wave 5, guys. After you have seen confirmation that wave 4 is over, look at wave 4 here, guys. Let's label it real quick. All right, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. After this wave 4 is over, you have seen your confirmation and you are trading with 5, guys. All right, you are trading with 5. Now, how does wave 5 behaves, guys? Remember, wave 5 is also an impulse. It's also very sharp, like this wave 1, like this wave 3. Wave 5 is also very sharp, like them. All right. But one thing is that it's not every time that wave 5 will break the top of wave 3. Can you see? Let me show you. Let me show you now. You see the top of wave 3. Can you see? Most time, wave 5 will break the top of wave 3 before it will form corrective structure 1, 2, 3. But there are few occasions where it will not happen like that. Okay, there are few occasions where it will not happen like that. In that case, wave 5 will end like this. So any scenario where wave 5 does not break the top of wave 3 before coming down does not invalidate it as wave 5, but we call it truncation. it is truncated with 5. All right, it's a truncated with 5. Why? It does not go above the high of wave 3. Then you should also note that this wave 5 can be extended to, in that case, it's going to be over long. Can you see? It's longer than wave 3, but you can you see that despite the fact that this wave 5 here is longer than wave 3, you see that wave 3 is longer than wave 1 because wave 3 can never be the shortest. That's the rule, guys. So that is the wave 5. Then after formation of wave 5, guys, what's the next thing that you will see in the structure? The entire wave from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is an impulse. That the whole length of that impulse must be corrected to about 50 to 61.8%. It could be any corrective structure. It could appear like this. If it appears like this, it means it's a zigzag with impulse in A, impulse in C, correction in B. Look at it here. Let me label it, guys. Where's my labeling to? ABC here. All right, A, B, and C. This is zigzag. And if you take the fib of the impulse from here to here, you see, guys, it's ending here at 50 to 61.8. And can you see? Perfect. And see, there's equal length between A and C. You must check equal length between A and C. It's very, very important, guys. And A is very sharp, C is very sharp, then B is always very slow. That is after formation of wave 5, that is the corrective structure you will see. It's not a must, guys, that you must see a zigzag corrective structure. The corrective structure can also be flat, guys. It's a flat corrective structure. When we get to correction, you will understand what flat is all about. Just for now, just be hearing the name for hearing sake and the pattern. Later, you will get the gist of the flat. Then after formation of flat, you have the market make a move to the upside. So it's not a must that the ABC correction must be in form of zigzag alone. But one thing is that even later you see that it can even be a combination corrective structure. All right. So that is just the characteristics of wave 1 to wave 5 of an impulse. So all this I have shown you are important information you need in order to understand impulse properly. Okay, so try to study this video again and again, because just watching it once will not give you the perfect understanding you require. You know what I'm teaching you right now, guys, is just the theory. I am not referring to the chart. I am just doing the theory. But as soon as I'm done with the theory and you understand the theory perfectly, when I get to the chart, guys, it's very easy for you to follow me, because when I cut it, I will remind you. Remember what we said about alternation? Okay, remember what I tell you about truncation? Remember what I tell you that in ABC correction, A is sharp, C is sharp, B is correction. So I'll begin to show you all this. All right. So by the time I'm showing you all this, you will remember, oh, we have done this in the theoretical guideline. So for you to understand the practical aspect, it's easy. It's easy. All right. So in order to master it properly, you must watch the video. You don't watch Elliott wave theory video once, twice, and say you have known it. No, you watch it again and again and again and again. When I was developing a script for this video, I needed not to read any book, guys, because all the guidelines, all the theories, guidelines, information, everything I need to teach you is in my brain. I need not refer to any book in order to teach you Elliott wave theory. Why? Because I have mastered the theoretical guidelines and I've applied it practically. I've applied it on the chart. I apply it every blessed day. Okay, so you must watch the video, several times before you grasp the content appropriately. Okay, so that has come to the end of part 2 of Elliott wave theory, which is the part that deals with impulsive wave. So please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed, and smash notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. I give you cracking content, guys, great content that will help you in your trading. Also, like and share this content so that other people can benefit from it. All right, so again, I will also tell you that I will also remind you that before you watch this course on Elliott wave theory, please go and watch foundation course, my Forex foundation course in this my channel. I have made it free of charge. I have made it public. It's very instructive. You must know what moves the Forex market. You must know what moves the financial market. You must know the economics. You must understand global economic framework for you to be able to trade this market successfully. You cannot just jump in and say you are a beginner, you just jump in, you want to trade Elliott wave theory, you want to trade demand and supply, you want to trade support and resistance, and you think you succeed. Why do you think 95% of forex traders fail? Because they do not understand the foundation that is built on fundamental analysis. They do not understand the economy, fundamental that drive the chart. They do not understand it. Guys, go back to the foundation. Go and understand the real macroeconomics of chart analysis. When you get it, come back to the chart. It is your macroeconomics that will drive the chart. Fortunately enough for you, it's very simple. You must not be a professional economist for you to get it. The information is common sense. If you have common sense, you can trade forex. You must not be an expert to trade forex. You must not be a genius to trade forex. All that is required from you is common sense. So I will see you in the next edition, guys. Bye for now. Peace.